Today we're going to be going over some of your questions and some common knowledge that you should know if you're considering building an RB25. Let's get into the video. So, welcome back for another video, guys. Thanks for joining me. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, you're awesome. Thank you very much. I should really be working on the Mercedes-Benz 190E build, making an Evo 2. If you're not familiar with that, go watch those videos. Coming up pretty cool so far. What better time than now to answer some questions? So, from Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all those other platforms, I've gotten a few questions about my car, and it's time to go over them. Let's go look at the engine. This is my RB25. This is my 1996 240SX with an RB25 swap. I bought this car swapped already, but I did all the motor work myself. I do have a pretty extensive playlist on building this engine, so go check that out if you want more info on this thing. I know I get a question like, how much did it cost you? I have a video on that one too. Go check that out, then come back here. I got some of the questions and info you guys wanted written down. I don't remember where all these came from. I don't remember who asked them because this has been over the course of like 2 years. I should have made this video earlier. All this information is online. You just got to do some research, but I myself prefer to just go watch a YouTube video of someone telling me the info I'm looking for, so hopefully this helps you out. Usually the main question is like, how much did it cost? We went over that already. So moving on, this is a general knowledge for this motor. I guess RB20 and 26 also is oiling. What do you do about the oiling? On the RB series engines, one of the main issues, I guess it's like one of the like really serious issues, which is really like the main one. There's a few other ones that I don't really remember, but I remember seeing some other issues. One of the main issues is really to do with the oiling system on this engine, and that's really the main point of failure. So starting at the bottom and working our way up is the oil pump and kind of the crank. Now, one of the bits of information that I don't necessarily remember is if Nissan ever addressed this issue, but it's the crank collar. So the crank collar, I'm gonna overlay a picture right now. The crank collar isn't as long as it should be, so it doesn't engage the oil pump as it should. So one common thing I did on my engine, I bought a crank collar extension and I had it machined on, so then you get full coverage on the oil pump. Now for the oil pump, I have just the Nissan N1, which is the upgraded version of it, other than just staying with the stock one. Supposedly has better gears and whatnot. There are other options which I'm not sure if they're completely necessary. I know some people do upgrade the gears to like billet and stuff so they don't crack, but at the power levels we're at, not necessary. I don't remember if I said at the beginning, but we're at 535 horsepower to the wheels. Moving our way up from the crank and the oil pump, then we have the restrictors that are in the block. So a big issue with the RB25s, like I said, was oiling. Too much oil gets up in the head, sits in the head, and your motor gets starved of oil because the oil pickup at the bottom doesn't have any oil to pick up. What I did, I decided to install oil restrictors. So I forget which website I went to, but you can find a little chart online. If I find it quick, I'll insert it here. It shows different uses for your car and the engine and what they recommend to do. So on my engine, I believe I did street. I don't remember if it was street and track or what it was, but their recommendation was there's 3 oil restrictors. The front one I didn't touch at all. The middle one blocked off completely, and the rear one I went to a 1.5 millimeter. Obviously the oil restrictors are going to do exactly like they sound. They're going to restrict oil going into your head. Another thing people do, I didn't do it on my engine because the machine shop I actually brought the block to. Did I bring the block? I didn't do it on my engine because the machine shop I used to machine the head and balance my crank and everything like that said they don't do it. But another thing, people will enlarge the oil returns in the block so you have more girth for your oil to drain back down into your pan. I was gonna do it because I had everything apart, but since the machine shop said he doesn't do oiling mods to the engines, I was just like, whatever, I don't need it. not a big deal. Then last but not least on the oiling mods for your RB engine is the head drain. So the head drain goes in the back. It's a little self-explanatory. It helps drain the oil that gets trapped in the head back down into your pan. But right there's the head drain. I have Franklin Performance Engineering or whatever it's called. It has an AN line, goes down, and it's teed off into the turbo oil return back into the block. Now the head drains don't really matter that much. As you can see, you can't even see it. So just pick one, go with it. Doesn't matter. Just get a head drain. It's not that hard. It's a little nerve-wracking tapping some threads into the back of the head, but once it's on, and you never have to deal with it ever again. There's a lot of noise outside, so I went to close the garage door, and I almost just closed it on my car. I pushed the car back for a little more space, and that's the track for the garage door. Whew. The sensor is below the bumper, so it didn't register that the car was there. That was a close one, boys. Another thing to consider when you're building your RB25 is the lifters. So stock RB25 S1s and S2s, I have an S1, came with hydraulic lifters. RB25 Neo and RB26 comes with solid lifters. Wow, we're in here. All right, so when we're talking about the lifters now, for my application, and probably most of your applications, the hydraulic lifter is gonna be just fine. You could rev your engine reliably, from what I've read, to 8,000 RPMs. Solid lifters is when you really want to rev it to the moon. And in general, you won't have a solid lifter just fail on you like the hydraulics can fail. But for most applications, the hydraulics are going to be fine. Doing like two-step or like launch control, I believe you're better off having solid lifters. I don't remember, don't quote me on that. But some of the problems with solid lifters, if your engine didn't come with it, it's a pain in the ass to convert over. I do have Tomei solid lifters somewhere in this garage, I don't remember where. But you put the lifters on, then you have to check your lash and stuff like that. You need to get shims. I think you need to get test shims just to get your different clearances and thicknesses. Then you have to order the shims. It's a big pain in the ass. I decided not to do it. I stayed hydraulic. Something to consider. Now camshafts is a big question I've been getting. So I have Kelford 246-A cams. The reason I went with those is because they were recommended to me from Kelford. I emailed them, I told them my power goals and what I was going to use the car for, and that's the ones they recommended for me, so I went with those. And it keeps the variable valve timing, the NVCS, or whatever the hell Nissan calls it. I also have the Kelford valve springs, which was a big pain in the ass to change, so if you're going to change your valve springs, pay someone else to do it. It's a pain in the ass. Don't even consider it. Now let's talk turbos. So I'm no expert in turbochargers. I went with the Borg Warner. This one is the S300 SXE. It is a 68 millimeter turbo. When I was looking up the stats, it looked like it was in the range of what I wanted, and the price range was also pretty damn good. Some more of the reason I went with this turbo is because at the time I had a friend that through his company could get a nice discount. I don't remember how much I paid, but I got it at a discount compared to buying it from a regular website or going with like a Garrett or something like that. Now, some of the problem with this Borg Warner, I think it's all Borg Warners actually, is the outlet flange. So the outlet flange on these things, I don't know if it's a proprietary flange or it's more for like a diesel truck and they have different flanges, but it wouldn't mount up to any regular V-band. In the meantime, before I got everything fabricated, I had to buy an adapter that went from their flange to a regular V-band. So then I had a V-band coming out the hood, a little outlet pipe coming out the hood for a little while before I got the exhaust fabbed up from the shop. Do I like this turbo? Yeah, no. So it's pretty laggy. I'm not gonna be able to hit third, just to let you know.
That's fine. I think this is more than enough. That's my finish line. Oh, man.
So even in second gear, you floor it. It takes a little while to get up in the rev range before the turbo hits, and when it hits pretty hard. So especially in second gear, it'll spin the tires when the boost kicks in. If it's cold out, third gear it will do it too. I mean, I guess that's all I gotta say about this turbo. Yes and no. It's cool, but laggy. And now, the biggest question. Would I do this again? Maybe. Now let me elaborate on that. So it's a yes and a no answer because yes, the learning experience was great. Building an engine was kind of like one of these lifelong dreams I had, and it was something I always wanted to do. So that experience was fun as hell. This engine and driving this car is fun as hell. The no part is really I would just change the way I did certain things. Now the things I would change, it's actually not that much stuff, to be honest. Just a couple cost-cutting things that I could have done, but in the long run, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even think it would be worth it. So one of the things I probably would do different, if I'm just trying to get this engine together for a nice, cheaper cost, is maybe I wouldn't have even built the entire engine. Just save thousands right there from rods and pistons. Just do that, the headwork, the cams and stuff like that. Turbo, fueling, definitely fueling. But maybe the turbo manifold we could have did different. Now I wanted to go with the top mount because who doesn't like the look of the top mount? But they do have a kit. It might be CX Racing. Yes, I know it's not the best. It might not be the best quality, but they have an exhaust that attaches to it. So you have your exhaust manifold. I don't know if you have to use one of their turbos. Then they have their exhaust downpipes and stuff like that comes out of your turbo is already there for you, and you don't have to get it fabbed up, and you just save tons of money. Who am I kidding? I'd probably do it the same way again if I did it again. So that's it. If I answered your question, awesome. Let me know. If you have more questions about the engine, let me know down below in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it to what I can remember, because all this research I did was over 2 years ago, and I forgot a lot of stuff. You could always ask me down below in the comments. Always ask me on Instagram, and I'll do my best to get back to you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Share it with your friends if they're thinking of RB swapping their car or have a car with an RB in it already. I'll see you guys in the next one. I upload every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 3 p.m. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.